It feels like it's the buzzword of 2019, and the word is brand. And it could be really bad for you if you're an actor. So we're going to talk about it today. It feels like everywhere I go, everybody's talking about brands. It's not just acting influencers or acting teachers. It's just everybody that's talking about brands. I've got to have a brand. It's part of my brand. We've got to brand them. Brand. It's like Duran Duran, but with brands. You know, when the customers come into the store, just brand them. Stick a burning hot piece of metal on them. Needless to say, it can be a little bit confusing and you can get a little bit lost with all the branding going on. Branding is something that has come into the acting world to help casting find your niche a little bit better, but if you're not careful, it can really harm you. So here's my 3 reasons why, if you're an actor, branding could actually be hurting you rather than helping you. So the first reason that branding could be bad for you is it's turning you into a caricature of yourself. A couple years ago, I was in New York and a street artist drew me, and this is the picture of me. Pretty funny, right? Look at that picture. Look at me. Look at that picture. Look at me. It's funny to think that that is someone's image of me, but that's what this guy drew. Can you imagine if I went out and tried to take branded headshots or build my brand around that caricature of myself, right? That's not a really good description of who I am. And if I were to try to be that caricature of myself, I would be pretty fake. I would be basically lying to everyone. Part of the reason why branding can be bad is you might accidentally start lying about who you actually are, rather than being who you really are. Don't allow your branding of yourself as an actor to make you into a liar. Another reason that you might be turning into a caricature of yourself with branding is you're becoming what I would call a flat brand. When I was in elementary school, we talked about the difference between flat characters and round characters, right? Flat characters are kind of just plot devices. They're kind of characters that just exist to move the story along, but we really don't know a lot about them. They're not well-rounded. They're not really fleshed out. They kind of are a one-off character. On the other hand, there's round characters, which are characters that we understand their motivations, we care about them, we can empathize with them. There's something about them that's just more holistic. What you want to develop is a round brand, right? A brand that has a 360. You're not a 2-dimensional flat brand. If you look at this caricature of myself, the only 2 things that this guy is going to be talking about is how many grams of protein he had last night and where he's watching reruns of the Jersey Shore. If that's what you want to be, and you want to be that much of a one-off person that the only thing you can talk about is grams of protein, reruns of the Jersey Shore, that's great. And that might work for getting your foot in the door and getting you known, but after a while, you've got to develop a round brand. Don't allow yourself to become a caricature of yourself. Don't allow yourself to become a liar or opposite of who you truly are, and don't allow yourself to become a flat brand. Don't allow yourself to become a flat brand. Or if you do become a flat brand, be one for a time, but then after you've developed a little bit more, become a round brand. The second reason why branding could actually be a bad thing is you could have parts of your brand that you think are you, but are not actually you. If you're not self-aware, it's really easy to put out a projection of who you want to be rather than who you actually are. A great example of this is I knew a guy years ago who really earnestly thought of himself as being a romantic guy. This guy thought that he was the guy in the rom-com, he was the guy who was saving the day, he was the hero, but nobody told this guy that when he interacted with women, he actually just came across as being really creepy. So this guy had built up a whole self-image about how he was such a swashbuckling hero, but then in reality, he was actually just super creepy. You could be doing this with your acting brand. If you don't know how it is that you're coming across to people, you could accidentally be projecting something that is just not you. Another part of this is kind of not listening to what other people have to say about who you truly are. One of the things about me that I've had to understand and kind of deal with is that I can be really aggressive and be really, really pushy with people at times. I'd like to think of myself as being a super nice person all the time, but unfortunately, that's not the way that I come off all the time. If I went out and I tried to shoot branded headshots and try to talk to everybody and be the super nice guy, eventually my great world would just break down because that's not how I come across sometimes. However, through listening to other people and understanding that I can be really kind of aggressive and really kind of pushy, now I know a couple different characters that I could easily play with what I know about myself. Listen to what other people say. Finally, you could be a little bit generic with your brand, and that could be hurting you. Part of the reason that branding potentially works is that we figure out what's unique about you, what sort of skills or habits or personality quirks that you have that nobody else has. But if you're too generic with your brand, it's gonna hurt you. For example, if you branded yourself as the yoga actor, you do yoga. Okay, well, how many actors out there do yoga? Probably a lot. You could be your brand, yoga actor brand. Right, that's a little bit too generic, being the yoga actor. By all means, if you are someone who has gone to India and has studied with a couple different yogis and you train at yoga every single day and you can name all the different variations and you can do all the poses and you're the most flexible person ever, if that's you, be the yoga actor brand. However, if that's not you, that's a little bit too generic. You've got to get a little bit more specific with your brand. There's this great quote that I love, which is, "The riches is in the niches," right? Find your niche, whatever that is. Don't try to just be the fitness actor, because how many fitness actors are there? However, if you're the fitness actor in the way that you get fit is by lifting boulders, okay, that could be a brand. One of the reasons that branding and acting works is because we're finding something that is very specific that not a lot of people or potentially no one has. One of the best ways to overcome obscurity is to have something super specific that not a lot of people have. This is one of the classic ways about how to rise to the top quickly, by having something that is unique. So once again, don't be generic with your brand. So now that I've told you how branding could be hurting you, let me give you 2 pieces of advice that can really help your brand. First off, be authentic with people. Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence. All 3 of these actors are known for being incredibly genuine with people, and their fans love them for it. Don't ever allow your brand to get to a point where it feels like a lie. Be true to who you are, really. All you have to go off of is you, and you is what people care about. So don't try to become somebody you're not. The second piece of advice is this: be aware of who you are and how others perceive you. Branding is this big buzzword that's going around right now on the internet, but really what branding is it's finding what is unique about you that can make you castable. This is not a new thing. This is something that is as old as casting itself, because you will always find people that look like you or might be able to do things like you. But if you can find something that is unique about you, you're castable. You got to dig down deep and figure out what is unique about you. And really that comes from a part of self-awareness, that you've just got to know what it is that you've got that maybe other people don't have. And one way that will help you do this is hear what other people have to say about you. You can't self-edit these things. You've got to really take it with a grain of salt. If someone tells you you could play jerks, don't take that personally. Don't allow that to hurt you. That's a good thing, because now you know, hey, I can play jerks. It's like people have told me with playing aggressive or pushy characters. Like, sure, that might not be a great thing because I wish I could treat people nicely all the time, but That's such a valuable thing because now I know, okay, well, these are the types of characters that I should go for, and these are things that I could have in my brand. The way that people perceive you, that's what your brand is. To all my masters out there, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something valuable out of this. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Have a good one.